Yo, welcome to the show. It's Tuesday. We're 2 days out from the Bitcoin convention, and it's time to get cracking. Today, we're going to have a very special guest to discuss a very important topic of staying safe in Web3, how to avoid heartache in Web3. So, join us as we kick this off. I have 0 people watching me right now live, and this thing just ramps up. There's always that fear, when you get on, when you post something, anytime you're creating content, there's always that fear that it's not gonna sort of resonate. And as as you grow, you sort of acclimatize yourself to, hey, Mati, what's up? I'm talking to myself here, my man. What's happening?
Good.
Is that a real room, or is that your background? It looks very classy. That could just be AI, man. That's not another sort of proof. You could have recorded it before. You could be generating it on the fly.
Yeah, really. Okay. Here we go.
Okay, I believe you now. I believe you.
This is my grandfather's study.
Your grandfather's study. That's quite impressive. Are your family originally from?
They call it the shul.
They call it.
The shul.
Is it a shul?
That's our own Kodesh.
Oh wow.
There's a
That's
real
very
sefer in
helpful
there.
to have when you're coming for festivals and whatever at the family. You have it on hand. You don't have to walk anywhere. You can crawl out of bed and go pray.
Absolutely. You could have it. You could fit
There's
a minion in
Michael.
here.
There's
Hey,
Michael. Hey Michael, what's up? How are you?
all good, all good. How are you?
We're doing well. Mati's just showing us around his grandfather's study. It's what time is it for you, Mati?
1 a.m.
Wow, we'll make it short and sweet this time because Mati is I stayed up till 12:30 to work last night because today's a fast day, so I didn't want to overburden myself when I'm hungry and cranky, and I'm not I was thinking about Mati the whole time because Mati's burning the midnight oil on a daily basis, so it's some guys are just built different. Let's just get the word out, spread the word about this. Let's post this out and everywhere. And then,
Dudu,
yeah,
it's
what's
kind of
up?
ironic that you guys call it Bitcoin breakfast, right? And you're fasting right now.
Yeah, it's a breakfast. It's breakfast for everyone else but me. I'm eating charts for breakfast. I can't eat
Yeah, well,
carbs, so I'm eating charts.
I was waiting for something, at least some veggies, you know.
Yeah. So yeah, we start. This has been 6 weeks going. This show we've I had ups and downs. I mean, it's the most interesting couple weeks that we've had in Bitcoin since forever. Just with everything that happening on the macro, and
For sure.
it started off this time slot is very good because there's not a lot of competition in this time slot. I mean, it makes it hard for US people to watch us, so we will start playing with other time slot. But if you're in the Israel, UK, like where our audience is in Europe or whatever, it's a lot easier to have this time and then compete with 1,000 people on other channels.
We
Let's
gotta
get
we gotta do it an hour earlier going forward, at least for the next 2 months, because I'm not gonna be
yeah.
able to do it at 1 a.m. every time.
I think that's fine. Or we can just let's talk about other times, maybe like morning time for you, which is like late evening, afternoon time over here.
Oh no.
Uh,
Don't go that far, man. 10 a.m. Israel time is just fine. I think it's fine.
10 a.m. is good. Usually, my routine has always been go to the gym, get home, 10:15, set out, do my whole regimen, protein, creatine, coffee, set
Oh
out,
my gosh.
live stream. But routines are there to be changed. We're living in a routineless world, and that's welcome to the show, Michael. Maybe you want to
Thank you.
tell us a little bit, give us a little bit of a brief intro. I do have CyVers logo over here, so I will sort of let me just kind of pull it up. Whenever you
Sure.
speak, there will be a logo, and then when we have when we can cut out the pieces later, then you can have
Sweet.
some sort of like branded kind of little clips going so that you can share it around.
Sounds good. So first of all, thanks for having me. A huge fan of the show. Been watching you guys, not the entire six episodes, but I've watched quite a few. So my name is Michael Pearl. I'm from Israel, 40 years old, married, 3 kids. Been in the crypto space for more than a decade, crypto/fintech. Got involved in it back when I was working in the media. I was covering global economy for Calcalist, which is the biggest business daily in Israel, and gradually got to learn about crypto. I still remember I always tell the story, but it's just it's a typical crypto story that my understanding and my exposure to crypto was when I went to these Bitcoin meetups in Tel Aviv, where there were like 4 geeks in a room trying to give you paper wallets of Bitcoin. And I became very interested in it, and gradually became dragged more into the realm and wanted to get my hands dirty. So I was involved with a bunch of projects, both as an executive and as an advisor. I actually remember Mati from my days at Finance Magnets. I used to work there, so we were in close touch with the Toro. Recently, I worked with a project called Intentable, where I was a COO, which is a more DeFi intent-oriented project. And I moved recently, during the last 6 months, I moved to CyVers, which is a Web3 cybersecurity company doing real-time monitoring, detection, and prevention of hacks, scams, frauds, rug pulls, what have you. I'm sure we're going to talk about it later with respect to WazirX. But this whole world of Web3 cybersecurity is amazing. So much going on. And it has very close correlation with the upward trend that we see with the tokens and with the entire market. So basically, when the market goes up, hackers are becoming more and more aggressive and engaged. So it's something that goes hand in hand with everything that we see.
That's interesting. I want to double click on that. But I have to ask you about this because cyber in blockchain is becoming really big in Israel. And I kind of want to get your guys' take on a big piece of news that just dropped today that related to cyber, not necessarily blockchain, but was a cybersecurity company that were going to get bought out by Google, $23 billion. And that deal just fell apart. They're going to go for an IPO instead. What's your take on that whole situation? That would have been the biggest exit of 2024. That would have been the biggest exit in Israeli history, and it's not happening.
Which company is that?
Wiz. Not to be confused with Wix or Waze, or
an unfortunate name. I'm sorry. That means something else in the United States.
Yeah, Wiz.
Yeah. My 2 cents about it is basically you see now that after kind of a dry period, IPOs are gradually coming back. So again, as all the analysts said, and I'm not the one to be the first to say it, but obviously this was a move. It seems like it was a move for them to position themselves better for an IPO. And all I have to say is that it's a very bold move. It's kind of do or die moment, because if they succeed, then definitely they're gonna get priced much higher. They're gonna get all the hype. Them being mentioned on All In podcast this Friday, I think it's something that scored some points for them, right? Because again, I think 2 weeks ago, probably most Americans here, Mati is on the call with us. Probably he haven't heard about Wiz, but now I think they became very popular due to the proposed acquisition, and even more some due to the rejection of this acquisition. So I think it's a very bold
It's got to
move.
be a powerful feeling, like giving the finger to Google, be like,
Yeah,
giving the finger to $23 billion. That's like, I read what I saw now, like a Israeli analyst on Twitter commenting that it's got to do with antitrust issues. The reason, I mean, you have to obviously have a good reason to say no to Google. So apparently,
hey,
the reason
Dudu,
is,
I'm sorry to cut you off. Where do we share this thing? I mean, I didn't see anybody coming in. Is anybody watching except for the bots at this point? What's going
we
on?
have some people watching. We have some people watching, but we can ask
Are you
people
sure they're
to
real though?
comment.
They're not bots? How do we
No,
know?
as they're not bots, we have real people watching. 60
All right,
people
people, if you're
watching at the
listening,
moment.
leave a comment, please.
Leave a
Share it
comment.
out.
What do you think of the
Let us
words
know that you're
buyout?
alive.
Or
Thank you.
would you
I mean,
say
I'm
no
up at
to
1
20?
o'clock in the morning. At least the least you could do is like let me know that you're a person and not a robot. Thank you.
Adan is commented from the wrong. I commented on Google to the guy's comment on Twitter. It doesn't really work for me, but Adan Kedem is on the line. We'll get him on the show sometime soon.
that's more than
a
enough for
metaverse
me. If
expert.
Adan Kerem is here, it's more than enough for me.
He's no bot. Yeah. So where were we before the bot interruption? Oh, so antitrust. Apparently, there is a regulator at the FTC that is very strict. Apparently, the law of America is you cannot, Google cannot buy out a company in a similar vertical to create a monopoly, but they can buy out a company in a adjacent vertical. So the argument was that the regulator would see Wiz as a cloud company, not a security company, and then that would fall under Google's current current vertical, and the antitrust regulators would have blocked the deal. So apparently, Wiz didn't want to go through 2 years of trying to get this deal through. Instead, they're just going to ramp up their activity and go for an IPO, which I think makes a lot of sense. Like, you don't want to the climate in America is not really stable right now. People looking at America right now, like, is that the best kind of place to be doing
Is
business
the
right
IPO going
now?
to be in Israel or in the United States?
I doubt it in Israel. Why would they IPO in Israel? They're not a pickle manufacturing company.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
It's a
if
massive.
an IPO is your path of least resistance, I think that you're in a good place.
So speaking of, we've got Doobie Fink. Who's Doobie Flink? He's going to come on as well. He's also a CEO and a founder. We have a lot of top legends that are listening to the show, but they
Let's
don't want to
go.
come on the show. So you must come. You must reach out to me. I'm a very friendly, very open person, and we want to have more voices on the show. So speaking of the US right now, the climate right now is not so tight. Like, where is Joe Biden, Mati? Have you found him? Are you looking for him? Is that why you went to America?
My daughter swore she saw a YouTuber driving along in a cyber truck. She's like, I don't remember the name of it. She was so excited. She was through the roof. Yeah, this is Los Angeles. That stuff happens around here. Joe Biden, I don't know. I think he's been dead for about 8 months. And they've just been bringing on these robots to replace him. And like, it's actually an Android. They have about 12 different Android versions, and they just bring out different ones depending on the occasion and which one is in top performance at that time. But yeah,
It's if it is the case, indeed, it's kind of sad to see that the Android industry hasn't really progressed, right? Because if that's the best that you can do with creating an Android,
right? Yeah, seriously. No, have you ever met Sophia? I mean, that's how she talks, man. I mean, it's okay.
Yeah,
But I think, look, I think, there's the rumors are around that he's dead, and I hope not. Like, at the end of the day, he seems like a good lad. Like, and as Israelis, I might disagree with his policies this way or that way, but he did stand pretty firmly on our side 48 hours after October 7th, and that kind of changed the equation.
For exactly 48 hours.
Exactly, yeah. 48 hours after full 48 hours, which is, by the way, that's why, I mean, you guys were involved, Crypto Aid Israel, where we raised up some money for the people affected by October 7th around that time. That's why we only raised in that first week, because after that first week, no one would be seen dead giving crypto to Israel. You would be cancelled faster than misgendering a public school teacher in Los Angeles. So that is like, Joe Biden was there first, but obviously it cooled out as the time went by. But I just hope America can get back to some sort of stability, because the world's not in a good place if America's not in a stable place.
Okay, so
But
Voorhees tweeted about this today, and he was saying that Joe Biden he wasn't a horrible human being. He wasn't terrible. He was just average. I have to kind of disagree with this kind of sentiment. I'm sorry. The man was asleep at the switch or negligent is like the least you can say. But under his watch, the economy completely tanked, and there's 2 major wars in the world that never would have happened if there was a responsible government in place. So, can you say that somebody is evil because they presided over very horrible things, and very horrible things happened because of them? I mean, I believe so. I mean, honestly, like, you should not be in that position if you cannot handle that kind of pressure, that kind of stress, or those kind of responsibilities. You shouldn't be there from the get-go. And the people around him are even worse, because they should have pulled him out a long time ago. If you have somebody, look, if you're a coach and you're playing a sports game, you see one of your players getting tired, you got to pull them out. You got to switch them up. You got to do that. That's your responsibility. And if you didn't do that, and for whatever reason, you deserve whatever wrath is coming to you. Sorry.
I think
Yeah,
that
for sure.
I think that what worries me here is the huge discrepancy between the real situation in the world, the way that we see it, at least in Israel and probably in other parts. I'm working a lot with the people that are either from Ukraine or in Ukraine, or other parts of the world. The world is a very dangerous place right now, and and it's at a very sensitive situation right now. And you would expect the US to have some sort of a leadership that would choose either way, either to like David Sachs says, de-escalate, or to go all in and just pick and choose sides and strengthen the side that you choose, right? So he decided to go with neither one. And I think that
No, Joe Biden and his cronies are profiting off of both of these wars. Anybody who thinks otherwise is a fucking fool. I'm sorry.
Mati,
I hear you.
what did we say about insulting our guests before halfway mark of the show?
No, Michael didn't say that. Michael's good.
I'm
I'm sorry.
It's okay, dude. It's okay.
I'm joking.
Wait,
I can take a punch. No worries.
I'm
I wasn't
joking. I'm
punching.
joking.
No, I'm kidding, Mati. I'm kidding.
But Mati, I want to get also. I just remembered, time moves too quickly. I don't think we've been on the show since Trump announced his VP pick. I think that was last Thursday, and we were on last Tuesday. So as I think you're the Republican representative in Israel or something.
Yes, I'm an ambassador for Republicans overseas, Israel. So if anybody needs help voting, let me know.
What do you think of Mr. J.D. Vance?
I don't know enough about him. I haven't done a lot of research. I literally saw one video, and it was really, really wild. I think it was posted by Ian Chung on the X app. It was a room full of Doiselach, literally black furry hats with long payas and everything. And there was this beautiful rendition of something about a miracle song, like a Disney. It must have been a Disney song or something. It was like really. I never thought of that in like a Hasidish kind of accent. And then JD Vance gets up and goes, "Hey, you guys are doing wonderful things for helping people in prison and trying to rehabilitate people in prison." And okay, it seemed like a normal kind of political event full of very, very extreme people. But listen, I don't know how much the vice president has ever really led policy in the United States. Like for as long as I've lived, the vice president is more of like a handshaker, symbolic role, similar to what the president is in Israel or other parliamentary systems. But even at least the president in a parliamentary system has some roles and responsibilities as far as moving the government along. The VP in the United States is totally subservient to the president. So unless the president gets shot, which
Can't
the
rule
vice
it out.
president doesn't really play. He just shakes hands and he attends events and stuff like that. So I think that in this case, what Trump's decision signals is a position of power, going, I don't need to kowtow to the middle at this point, but we can actually swing hard right, because the left has no opponent. That there's no opponent on the field at this point. We could just take whatever we want and swing for the fences. And that might even be a little bit scary because I don't think Trump is a wonderful human being. I think that he's definitely in it for himself, in it to win it. He's going to protect his legacy over the people, I believe. But it just so happens that the incentives align. His legacy is the good of the people. And he on all of the policies that I care about, Israel, the economy, Bitcoin, Trump is definitely in my camp. So that's a no-brainer vote for me. But that doesn't mean, I still believe that pretty much all politicians and bankers are, POSs. And I do believe that the system needs to, at some point, have a total reset. And this is very much a case of just as every other presidential election in my lifetime, of you're going to have to choose the lesser of two evils. And that's exactly what's happening here.
I gotta say that, Dudu, with respect to JD Vance, I consider myself quite an avid fan of American politics, even though I'm not an American. But I haven't really known him or heard of him that much. But recently, I watched this movie, like the movie that was produced from the story of his book on Netflix. And I gotta say that. Yeah, I gotta say that even if Netflix and all that, they probably added some drama to it, but his story is quite inspiring. Regardless of his politics for a second, and in most things, I do find myself in agreement with him. I have to say that the personal story is quite inspiring. So I think it's every politician needs to have a good narrative. So with that respect, I think it's a very reasonable choice. But I gotta say, with respect to crypto and Bitcoin and so on, I was amazed even before that. Now JD Vance is probably is obviously a Bitcoin dude, and Trump is constantly talking about Bitcoin and crypto. Even though, to be perfectly honest, I don't know what to expect from him, because at the end of the day, there's a kind of a conflict of interest here, because every American president wants to strengthen the dollar, especially now with everything that happens with the BRICS and so on, and the de-dollarization. And I'm not sure how this works, how this coexists with Bitcoin. But I gotta say, if we look at it from kind of a more macro standpoint, I'm amazed by the presence of crypto in this election cycle. I was in Austin, I think 2 months ago, and there was this RFK truck parked outside of the venue, obviously for consensus for the conference. And RFK spoke there. They had quite a few of his agents, ambassadors there. They're really pushing hard for crypto, both RFK and Trump. I'm not sure what goes on with the Democratic Party. Maybe they gave up on this demographic altogether. But think about it; it's not such a big demographic, right? But I think that they pinpointed it. They focused on it, and it's very inspiring. The U.S. has a lot on its plate. The inflation, the economy, racial issues. The Middle East, whatever. And seeing crypto as, let's say, I would say at least on the top 20 list of something that these candidates discuss. I think it's something that is really inspiring. It's also quite surprising.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
agree with you 100% on that. And this is something that we've been waiting for. We've been waiting for it in the world of Bitcoin and crypto for probably nearly 10 years. We always knew that, in the beginning, the politicians would push back and push against and do everything they can to hamper Bitcoin. And indeed they did, even arresting people just for using Bitcoin in certain ways, even in the United States. And over time get kind of lighter and lighter. But at some point, we understood that the politicians are going to realize that if they want to get elected, they need to do what's in the will of the people. And the will of the people at this point is so strong and very clearly saying, hey, we want, a crypto-friendly society and a crypto-friendly government. And the politicians are now in the position where they're latching on to that as a way of buying more votes, which is a beautiful thing, is how democracy is supposed to work, right? And I can say that, I'm very happy that I have the opportunity now, being in the United States, to fly my ass over to Nashville this week, leave my kids, leave my wife with the kids. She's not too happy about that. But I have to see it. I have to see it with my own eyes. This is very likely to be history in the making. I was at Bitcoin 2021 in Miami when Nayib Bukele announced that they were adopting Bitcoin wholeheartedly. And I don't know, I just got, I have to be there. I have a feeling that something big is going to happen. And anybody else who's going to be on the ground there, please, hit me up. Be very happy to see a face to face. But yeah, I think this is going to be huge, as they say.
I mean, Michael, you mentioned about the fact that every US president wants to strengthen the dollar, and I also thought that was a given, but it seems like that's not consensus anymore. I don't know how much, as you mentioned, I don't know how much.
But standing
impact.
behind Bitcoin doesn't weaken the dollar.
No, I'll get to that right now. It doesn't weaken the dollar, but JD Vance, I don't know if obviously he's just vice president, he won't have impact on policy. He has been, and I think this is if he's speaking about it, then it's probably a widespread belief, ideology amongst like-minded white conservative voices that the US dollar, it harkens back to his personal story. He comes from the rural areas of America where manufacturing has taken a beating, primarily because of a strong dollar. A strong dollar means that imports are cheap, but exports become more expensive, which means that the US manufacturing class, the coal mining class, JD Vance's parents and grandparents and communities have taken the raw end of the stick. And instead, what has happened? The financial engineers on Wall Street are the ones getting rich because they're profiting off the US reserve currency status. So JD Vance has been openly questioning the US reserve currency status, which lead me to believe that a dollar devaluation in a Trump presidency is not completely out of the realm of possibility. An active devaluation, not just Bitcoin. I agree with you that Bitcoin can actually strengthen the dollar by giving it hard currency backing, taking it back to the gold standard age. That being said,
I'm not sure, Dudu. I'm not sure how this. I mean, everything that you said is correct with respect to the manufacturing and the export and so on. I'm not sure how this plays out in the very delicate structure of the U.S. dollar specific. It's right for the shekel. It's even right for the euro. But with respect to the dollar, with this whole idea of exporting the debt and so on, I'm not sure how this will play out if the dollar devaluates.
Yeah, so
Also,
the dollar is the number one export of the United States. It's not like Japan where they're trying to sell machinery and stuff like that. So you could make the case where, you know, Trump wants to say, okay, we're going to promote exports by weakening the dollar, but I don't think that that's really what's happening here. I think what actually is happening is a huge mistake on the part of policymakers over the last decade or so, which is the weaponization of the U.S. dollar. And basically, when they say, okay, the U.S. dollar can't be used in certain countries as a way of punishing those countries for whatever actions politically, they basically have already de facto weakened the dollar, because that makes the dollar less of a global currency. And I don't believe that, you know, the adoption of Bitcoin in any way, shape, or form is going to harm the U.S. economy. I actually think that it's going to improve the U.S. economy quite drastically, because Bitcoin has solidified its place as the global internet currency, the currency of the internet. So if you want to pay somebody across the world, you don't know them, you don't trust them, but you owe them money, Bitcoin is the way to do it. And I'm doing that nearly every day now. And I think that a lot of people like me out there are doing the same. I would never want to send bank transfers to any country in Africa or Southeast Asia. It's not viable, and it doesn't make any sense. Bitcoin is the only way to do that efficiently, cheaply, and quickly, and it does that very well. And if the United States wants to be part of the coming wave of fintech revolution, and believe me, it's coming. You know, the European Union has already very, very recently put in their MiCA regulations to basically just clear the playing field and say, okay, these are the regulation, these are the rules of the road. They're going to benefit from the upcoming decentralized financial revolution. And the United States, in a very real way, has lost 4 or 5 years of innovation already. And what Trump is basically saying is, okay, let's cut the shit, okay, and let's be a leader in fintech, you know, rather than losing out. And the position of the U.S. dollar is actually, in my mind, I don't know what's going on in Trump's mind, but in my mind, the position of the U.S. dollar going up or going down a few percentage points is just secondary to the positive effects that the United States can the rewards that it can reap by wholeheartedly embracing the future of money and the future of financial assets.
Just to add to that, it's kind of a caveat to what I said earlier, because I said that there's a kind of conflict of interest between the dollar and crypto. But having said that, the caveat to that would be that during the last year, we saw the institutionalization, it's a hard word for an Israeli, of crypto, right? So we see the ETFs coming right now. So it's kind of, if you can beat them, join the moment, right? So it's really hard to tell right now where this is going, you know, but think about the scenario of,
hey, Dudu,
put
you're not putting the questions up on the screen. I think you know, Tal had a wonderful question.
We're not answering them yet. I was waiting
to this was 12 minutes ago. You're falling asleep at the switch, man. You don't know. We ask people to write their comments. They write their comments, and you don't put the comments on the screen, man. You got to give me the clicker so I can do this too.
So actually, I think it slightly answers the question here by Tal Shmuel. So I more and more money is pouring into the custodians and the pocket, so to speak, of institutionals, right? Of heavy institutionals, of the top 10 institutionals, the BlackRocks and so on. By the way, also something interesting is the fact that some analysts are talking about BlackRock CEO being the new Secretary of Treasury. I have no idea why would he want to do that, but obviously, you know, them being
he's got
Yeah.
a better
No,
job.
there also talks about Jamie Dimon, but that's just gossip.
Jamie
That's beside
Dimon
the
refused
point.
the last time. I wrote about this in the Quantum Alpha newsletter this week. Jamie
It
Dimon,
doesn't matter
Trump is
though.
not going to
Listen,
offer it to him because he already refused last time.
it
And
doesn't. It
Larry
doesn't.
Fink in his right mind would never take a position like that. It's a demotion.
It doesn't matter because they're backing him, and the person that is going to be in that position is besides the point. The point is that they are backing him, and probably for a reason, right? Because now they probably have aligned interests. They no longer want to support the Democrats, so there's obviously a bigger move here that includes, obviously, Bitcoin and crypto are not the center of the world, not even the economy, but obviously this package that they're discussing somewhere behind the scenes include some sort of a new vision for crypto and for Bitcoin. So I think that this will be part of the equation, right? So them backing Trump is not just kind of a 1 minute decision. It's something that they probably thought through, and I'm sure it's going to affect everything. By the way, also the discussion that we had earlier with the antitrust and everything, there's going to be a total change of the regulation from side to side. That's what I think. And somewhere in there, there's going to be a new vision for crypto for the US. Hopefully, it's going to be a positive one, right? But the caveat to that, and going back to the ETF part, is that in this new vision, the institutionals and the banking system and so on will have much more power.
You could just say institutions.
Yeah, whatever. Institutions will have much more power in crypto and in Bitcoin, either by holding and aggregating more and more crypto, not only Bitcoin, by the way, ETH and even Solana maybe in the future and so on, but also by acquiring technological companies, taking control of the trading venues, and so on and so forth. So I think that we're going to see major changes with respect to the presidential elections and on the broader scale with institutions.
Mati, maybe you want to take this question like directly. Is ETF good or bad? Does the adoption element of ETFs, does that overpower the lack of decentralization? Take that question however you want.
Absolutely, but I really want to put a bow tie on this whole politicization of this issue. I saw a brilliant post which basically just sums it up. It was Donald Trump with his arms slung over Jamie Dimon like they're best friends, and somebody's post, "Hey, is this what you call draining the swamp?" So, yeah, no. This is the point, and if you're talking about politics, or if you're talking about banks, you're talking about all of that murky underworld that we know has been just attacks on the good people of a regular modern day society. Bitcoin is the antidote to all of these things, and crypto is the antidote. I think that if Satoshi were here and he saw, the full embrace of Wall Street of Bitcoin, I think he would just yawn, because it's not important. It doesn't matter. Of course, they're going to want this scarce asset, which is extremely viable and useful and growing every single day. Of course, they're going to want it. Of course, they're going to want a piece of it. But the point here, and the underlying point, is that they cannot control it. Not with all the money in the world, and not with all of the power in the world. This is the antidote, and this is what takes away their power. They know it already. They know this in their heart of hearts. They know it in their secret chambers. This is what's at play. They cannot stop it. The very least they can do is make a few bucks on their way out.
Epic. I think I've never heard that take, that it's not good, it's not bad, it's just boring, no one cares. Your trad fire and energy is no good here. I want to take it to Michael now for the the topic of this show was avoid
You're
Heartache.
rugging, doo-doo.
WTF happened to WazirX last week, and
He had a Biden moment, I think. Dudu, you're cutting out.
Okay. Hello.
Did
Yeah.
Bezic install your fiber wire yet, dude? All right, he's sending me a WhatsApp message. Michael, just tell us about WazirX. I haven't heard this story yet, so give it to me. I know WazirX is the biggest
I think I'm back.
exchange in India. What the hell happened over there to our Indian brothers and sisters?
So the biggest exchange in India, first of all, India, as some of you probably know, both in terms of retail users and in terms of technology coming out of India, is a huge crypto hub. Obviously, we know that Polygon came from there and a lot of other companies as well. But in terms of holders, there was a Financial Times article claiming that India is the biggest crypto country, so to speak, in terms of people holding crypto, trading crypto, and so on. So with that landscape, right, you have WazirX, which is probably the biggest exchange over there, and it got hacked, and it had $235 million stolen in a matter of a few minutes. Okay.
Was that Bitcoin? I assume there's a bunch of shit coins in there. Do we know?
So it was mostly in Shiba Inu. It was also, yeah, but there's a huge chunk of ETH there. They just transferred the ETH to two wallets. I think something like 57 million out of it is ETH, and you have Matic. You have some Bitcoin as well in there. So obviously, as you guys can imagine, it's a crap show. First of all, hands down, one of the top 10, maybe even top 5, depends on how you count it, biggest hacks in history. And I have to tell you, like from our personal experience, we were the first ones to catch it. It's a huge responsibility. These moments of knowing that this hack is happening, getting the final approval from our SOC team that indeed that's the case, and you have this gap between when you get it and then until you announce it. So it's a huge responsibility, because we know that once you hit the send button on the tweet, right, it's the company is gonna, I'm gonna be like delicate here, but the company is gonna be hurt very badly, right? Very badly.
Fucked.
Yeah. So what went on in our SOC team and between the founders and all that, we had a discussion there. Obviously, first of all, we want to help the company, right? We want to help them to save the funds of the users, because that's the first priority. So I immediately reached out to the founder of WazirX, and we took it from there. We opened a war room, tried to assess what happened, how it happened, if something can be still mitigated in terms of moving funds from one wallet to another, maybe pausing some transactions. It's crucial to understand that at these specific moments, also hackers tend to come back to the crime scene, right? So usually, if you catch something, then you can imagine that maybe within a few minutes or hours or even days, you will have another hack. And we saw that just recently with the UWU hack, where they get hacked twice, I think in 2 days. So it was a crazy day. It was a crazy day. We tried to work with them. Then the news came out, and we were bombarded with the media, trying to get some quotes and trying to figure out what happened. Then all the involved parties, the wallet, the custodian, all the forensics companies started reaching out to us, because everyone wants to help. Everyone wants to understand what happened. Then the exchanges reached out to us, because they want to understand whether this can happen a second later in their exchange. So just obviously everything that I just mentioned, it's a story of its own. But just to give you guys some overview, what happens right now in India is a huge scandal. First of all, the police is involved, the FIU, the regulator is involved. I think they have about 30 exchanges that are licensed there. And now all those exchanges are going to be summoned to a hearing. If I can find like a silver lining here, I think that maybe this will help to raise awareness for security, because I find it mind-boggling that the SEC and all the other financial regulators are so focused on some retail investor not being, not receiving too aggressive marketing or solicited or things of that sort, but they don't understand that if the exchanges are perfectly regulated, they're compliant, but they neglect the security part, the retail investors can suffer much more, right? On a much greater scale. And if you guys Google, if you guys search for WazirX on X right now, you see thousands of stories of your average Indian Joe, right, telling how they lost all their hard-earned money. So it's very sad, right? It's a crap show. It's still evolving, and I think it's going to have a huge impact on the industry as a whole.
I agree, and it's very sad. I mean, I know Nishal Shetty. He's been doing this daily post to the Indian government for years already, saying why crypto is awesome. But the irony here is not that centralized exchanges need to increase their security, but that centralized exchanges is actually a problem with the decentralized world of currency. So it really is kind of silly, but we need to have this technology. This is an intermediary technology in order to get to where we're going with this, which is a decentralized world where people can exchange cryptocurrencies freely one for another, and between cryptocurrencies and fiat money without the need of a middleman. And while we have this need of a middleman, certainly those middlemen should take extra precaution and make sure that they're running a tight ship. But we've had these hacks throughout history, throughout crypto history, from beginning in Mt. Gox, by percentage, that was something like 2/3 of all Bitcoin, right? In circulation that were hacked over there. And I remember the CoinShares hack in Japan was terrible. It set crypto adoption back in Japan by at least 10 years, because before that moment, Japan was gung ho. They were the leaders of Bitcoin. They were like, you could tell, like, even though, Bitcoin doesn't have geolocation, like every time, 9 a.m. Japan comes along and you see Bitcoin just going whoosh, like as the buy orders come in. And Bitcoin was, Japan was one of the first places to legalize Bitcoin as, a legal currency and legal tender. And after that hack, the whole country just shut their door to Bitcoin, and it still hasn't recovered, I would say. That was something like 500 million, I think, probably still.
Mati, but sorry to cut you, but I have to disagree.
You're good.
The thing is, like, vision-wise, I'm
disagree with what specifically?
With everything. No,
Okay.
I'm kidding. I'm going to the back to the first part of what you said, right? So Adan actually wrote here in the chat that that's what happens when you put a decentralized product in a centralized exchange.
You do.
I understand
you
that.
Put those things on there before we say
Yeah,
them.
there you go.
Really, man.
So I'm trying to balance here between the vision, right, and where we want to see the industry and the currency, and between reality, right, and especially in the what you call the global south, the third world, whatever. The situation there is that on one hand, crypto is much more widespread due to a bevy of reasons. Their currency being not that hot, and due to the fact that a lot of remittances are flowing into the country in crypto, so that feeds this whole industry. So it's a whole different mindset from what we know in Israel or in the US or in the West in general. Most people are not knowledgeable enough. By the way, the same way that most people, I think, in the US are not knowledgeable enough to handle their own wallets and to do their own trading on dexes and so on. We're not there yet, right? So I would be more than happy to get rid of this infrastructure, but we're not there yet. And until
we don't have to get rid of the infrastructure, Michael. Where I was trying to get to is that while we're in this intermediary zone where this infrastructure is required, first of all, yes, those exchanges should take better care, but more than that, the users should have the common sense and the foresight to take their money off of the exchange. And for some reason, users tend to refuse to learn this. Okay. Mount Gox did not send anybody to go, hey, you know, we should start, you know, having a not your keys, not your coin celebration or whatever. The Quadriga CX, which was literally mind-boggling. Like, I mean, you want to believe what you want to believe about what happened to Gerald Cotton. You know, did he go to India and get a facial reconstruction, or is he 6 feet under? It doesn't matter. The point is, what the users should have learned is that they need to hold their own keys. They need to private custody. That was in Canada, and then 5 years later, the trucker movement happened, and suddenly the Canadian government is confiscating Bitcoin off exchanges. Did you not just learn your lesson? No, for some reason, people don't learn their lessons. I think that the only real time in our short history was 2022 with Sam Bankman-Fried and Alex Mashinsky, when people go, hey, wait a second, you know, maybe we should like look at this self-custody thing and take it seriously. Like that was like the only real time, because people were so gung-ho and so like passionate and believing that they had to say, okay, wait a second, we know that this is truth. We know that blockchain is freedom and democratization. And then there was the cognitive dissonance between that and holding your money on an exchange was so great that people go, wait, and it collapsed like a house of cards. And people go, okay, the point is to self-custody, right? How long will it take for that to happen in India? Maybe we could be optimistic and say that this hack will be a catalyst to that. But we'll have that's up to the Indian people.
One more point to add to that. Sorry, Dudu. One more point to add to that with respect to the hack itself and some other hacks that we see recently. The thing is that it became a big boys game. You know, this romantic idea of somebody in his mom's garage hacking an exchange. That could still happen, but it's kind of diminishing. What we see now, and probably the people behind this hack and many other hacks were the Lazarus group. We see hacker conglomerates being super sophisticated. You have to understand that it works like a startup, right? They invest tons of money in it. Obviously, countries invest money in it. They have the best engineers. They have amazing planning. They have crypto native people who are working for them and thinking of how they can trick the system. And they're becoming, more and more aggressive and smart. And by the way, speaking of regulation and so on, after everything that's been done, after all the KYC efforts, you still can find small exchanges in some, non-compliant geos that will still help you to funnel the money and to launder the money eventually, and to get them into fiat, and then, God knows what they're sponsoring here. Maybe the rockets that are flying above our heads in Israel. It's an industry of its own, and I think that we don't even understand what stands behind it. Maybe one day we will, but it's a big boys game for sure. It's not this romantic idea of a hacker with a hoodie is no longer relevant.
I think Dudu is frozen.
I don't know why I keep getting rugged.
Oh my gosh, that is so awesome. It took me a second to realize.
Yeah,
You're
I thought it was just contemplating, thinking about something.
About what you said there. I don't want to open a new topic this late in this show, but I don't know if you guys have been watching what's happening with CrowdStrike. it's still happening. I don't know, like if you realize, but there are places all over the United States that are just down. I'd love to, if we can get a guest on for next week, if this is still happening by then, to explain to us what the heck happened there and what are the ramifications, if any, for long term. I would love to understand that. Or is this going to just go away like other things, or is this the beginning of the end of the world where technical stuff just starts to break down because it just wasn't built on a sturdy foundation, or the foundation stone cornerstones moved, or whatnot.
Yeah, definitely. Sorry for ragging again. I want to ask Michael a final question because I'm super curious about this. What happened to WazirX? Like, we hear different types of hacks, like flash loans, exploits. Like, what can you share about the post-mortem of how this hack went down? And especially if I'm a SOC from some exchange watching this, how can I sort of better my systems to prevent that from happening again? And on that note, we'll end off the show. We'll let Mighty go to sleep, but I have to get the juice first.
Sure. So first of all, it's still ongoing, right? You have the best forensic investigators, the best security monitoring companies, CyVers, working on it. And I know that Elliptic is involved, and Chainalysis, and so on. Everyone wants to contribute to that. And there are different teams. They also, by the way, published, I think today, a 23 million bug bounty to help them recover the funds. So it's still ongoing. All I can tell you is that they had a multi-sig wallet, right? Nishal, the CEO, claimed that 3 out of the not claimed, it's indeed true that 3 out of the 4 wallets were in the possession of the company, and the 4th one was a wallet that was held by Liminal, which is the custodian that they worked with. It was safe wallets, by the way. And right now there's kind of a blame game between the two, right? Who was the last to sign, and so on. So our educated guess would be that it was some sort of at least for some of the wallets, maybe some sort of a phishing attack or something else, right? Maybe, and again, I'm saying maybe, some sort of an insider job, because
I'm just picturing like a massive CEO of an exchange, like getting an email, like, you just got the Elon Musk Doge airdrop, and clicking on the link. Cool, connect my wallet that's holding bazillion dollars of customer funds.
There's no way. There's no way. This got to be an inside job. I'm sorry. It has to be.
So this one right now is under investigation, and to be honest, I don't know what will come out. The thing is, like, we catch it on the on-chain level, right? We know that there is a hack. We know that something's going on, and we know that for sure. But the backstory, everything that happened off-chain and how it happened, is something that is much more complicated to catch, and oftentimes it's something that leaves no digital traces at all. So that's something that we'll have to learn. Again, I was referring to the Lazarus group. I know that, just to give you an example, in other hacks that we caught, they were triggering employees of companies. By the way, not necessarily high-ranking employees, right? Offering them, the best job in the world, come work for Coinbase or I don't know what, we'll pay you tons of money, sending them some sort of an assignment. Actually, we actually have a copy.
I get those guys every day, by the way. They're offering me jobs has gone through the roof over the last 2 years.
Yeah. You have to be careful with that. So again, that goes to show the sophistication here, and
wait, and they give you a take-home assignment with a link to connect a wallet. And then,
no, the best one is video games. No. Hey, we want you to be an advisor on our Web3 game. You got to download the game over here. No, thank you.
Guys, we are, that's actually our forte, catching hacks in wallets and custodians and so on, in centralized entities, not in smart contracts as well, but wallets are definitely our forte. With respect to that, you see that the majority of the hacks originate from Web2 stuff. It's not, you don't have to connect the wallet, right? You hack into the system itself, and then you hack into the wallet either by API or some other way. So all they need is they need to have access to the system, to the Web2 system, and then they can eventually get to the wallet, either by locating the private key somewhere somehow, right? Or by some other ways. But at the end of the day, still, finding the person.
Come on, it's got to be nine times more likely that somebody just knew where those keys were and how to access them, and they just had the right idea and the right plan at the right time. But come on, it's got to be an inside job. Come on, Michael.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense to me that an exchange would have keys on a computer.
It's possible, yeah.
Without some sort of hardware wallet off chain.
It's very difficult to hack cold storage. Come on, you can't hack a cold storage.
This is an interesting case. But Michael, thank you for coming on the show. And I mean, we'll leave it at that because there's nothing else to say because it's an ongoing. So maybe in 10 years' time, we'll see the Netflix documentary with Michael giving us a little, giving us the full rundown of what happens when they discover
I just gotta say, I just have to say, and again, I'm obviously biased with that, but regardless of the origin and the root cause and all those fancy words of cybersecurity people, at the end of the day, when you monitor the wallets and the smart contracts and you catch it in time, and you have the proper risk mitigation processes, you can overcome this, right? Even if the hackers find a way that nobody has ever heard of, some sort of a new vector of attack. At the end of the day, if you monitor your wallets, and it's mind-boggling for me that there are still exchanges and custodians that do not monitor their wallet 24/7 with the best tools.
Cool. Thank you for that. I mean, we will be cutting that out and putting that online because what you're saying is gold and everyone needs to be, at the end of the day, this isn't only about your business or their business. This is about some guy in Bangalore who works hard, wants to get out of the 9-to-5 cycle of poverty and apes into a bunch of Shiba Inu and then get that all stolen by Kim Jong-un's henchmen. So we want to prevent as many.
We gotta learn lessons. The exchanges need to lock their shit up better, and the people need to learn to put their money where their mouth is, so to speak. Well, no, they need to take their money out of the exchanges and hold it by yourself, because that is the point of self-custody, which is the point of Bitcoin. And if you're holding Bitcoin or any other decentralized asset, as Adan Kedem has pointed out, on a centralized exchange, you're doing it wrong. Sorry, you're just doing it wrong. You can be lazy. Maybe it's convenient for you, but that money is at risk. So learn self-custody. It's not difficult.
Okay, guys. Thank you so much for having me.
Thanks a lot for being on. We appreciate your insight, man. That's really good stuff.
Have a wonderful
again after so long.
Good night, Mati.
Bye.
Bye, guys.